The Oslo Rep and the FSU Conservatory have very busy stages right now, with as many as 4 shows running at the same time for hundreds of theater goers a day. And it looks like next season is going to be just as exciting. Producing artistic director Michael Donald Edwards is here, and he has a preview of what is on the way. So you had a big season announcement this week.
We did indeed on Monday, yep.
And what is the overall theme? I know you
Well, we've started the Staging the World project, where we've been looking at the American character for 5 years. We're still doing that. I mean, it's still of abiding interest to everybody who comes to the theatre and the plays we're choosing to do. But we're looking broader at what is going on in the world right now, as well as how that connects to what's happening in America right now, staging our world. So the shows that we're doing, what are we starting with?
Is there an overall arc for the whole season?
Well, it's all about me. No, it's
all things that I like.
No.
The things I picked on the
Kelly made me say that. She made me
I know you all,
in the sense, and I mean that in the broad sense of me, the sense of all of us. It's about what we're going through. I can't help but how do I take you seriously?
Well, no, this is good because the first show is actually a fun, lighthearted show. You'd like to start with a
musical. I thought of you.
Absolutely.
I thought of you.
The Music Man. This surprised me. I love the show. It's a classic.
Well, I know. Everyone's got the Music Man. Well, Jeff Calhoun, who directed Bonnie and Clyde and Pulse with us, we went to Broadway, got nominated for a Tony for the Newsies. And I've been asking him for 2.5 years, what show do you want to do? Because he only wants to do new work. He said, The Music Man is the one thing of all the classic musicals I would love to do. And we've got Noah Racy coming back to star in it.
And we're seeing him here when he was here in Pulse.
Here in Pulse. I mean, he's the most brilliant song and dance man in America right now. And so he's going to do the lead in Music Man, a brand new choreographer, and Jeff is just so excited about doing it. It's
big Broadway names.
Big Broadway names,
to come back
right here in Sarasota, and they're gonna really take the roof off the theater.
Well, I'm excited to see what you do with it, because I know that if you do a classic musical, you'll always put some sort of a different
And I want all 76 trombones on that stage, blaring.
Yeah, and no one plays trombone anymore.
Now, another musical that's a little further deep into the season, Sweeney Todd. Tell us about your choice there.
Well, this has really come from, and Stephen Sondheim, we all know and love Stephen Sondheim in the business. I mean, he is the supreme musical theatre artist of the 20th century, and now too. Finding the right director and the right way in to these great pieces is a real challenge. Peter Rothstein out of Minneapolis is doing our Ragtime. We've had the most amazing time getting this show together. It started out in Seattle. It's coming to us in May. We're re-rehearsing it.
That's in this current season.
That's in this current season. And it's why we were talking about a million things. I went out to Minneapolis and saw his production of Assassins, which was amazing. And I said, what do you want to do? What's the #1 thing on the list? What's the most brilliant musical? He's Sweeney Todd. So looked at it again. He's got this fantastic idea about how to do it.
Interesting musical too, about the man, he kills his enemies and then his friend bakes them into pies.
Yes, I mean, it's a revenge story, but it's set in an economic, industrial world where there's so much misery and poverty, and it creates a world where we can recognize it. I mean, it's connected to Sweat as well.
Well, let's talk classics, because you also have The Crucible.
I'm doing The Crucible, which is the first play I ever read when I was a student in Australia and understood. I think I was 16 in this Catholic boys' school in Australia, and I think it was the beginning of my falling in love with the United States and wanting to come here.
Oh, wow.
That I just really responded deeply to what the story was about, the nature of the writing, Arthur Miller. And that was the beginning of my exploration of American theater. It's won the Tony in 1953. It was like we all know that it's about the witch trials in Massachusetts in 1692, and also about McCarthyism in the 50s, but it's also a very contemporary story about what happens in a community when you start to demonize, in particular, women. Speaking of redheads on the block,
now talk to me about moving off Crucible to A Doll's House Part 2.
Doll's House Part 2. This is a crazy, wonderful new play. It was on Broadway last season.
Laurie Metcalf here.
Yeah, Laurie Metcalf. She won the Tony. She won the Tony for it. She was absolutely brilliant, hilarious. I've never seen.
Is this a sequel?
It is a contemporary idea. Nora in Doll's House, one of the most famous women in 19th century literature. She left her home. Her family discovered she was living a lie. She needed to get out. She left her kids, her family, her respectability, the lot. Slammed the door. That was the end of the play. It was considered so scandalous in many countries they would not allow the play to be done unless he rewrote it, and she stayed. So she left. So she left. Nora left. This play, this young playwright has written, What If Nora Left became a success. There's unfinished business, though. She has to come back 15 years later. She comes back 15 years later. And that is really what the play is about.
I can't wait to
you
see
cannot
this.
wait to see it.
cannot wait.
Don't
It
get any
really,
ideas.
yeah, no. It's Doll's House Part 2. It's 90 minutes long. It is just, it's fantastic.
There's some comedy in there, right?
Oh, lots of laughs.
So
Lots
speaking
of laughs.
comedy, you're doing one of the farces that a lot of people love, Noises Off.
It's one of the
I'm
most
excited
difficult to
about
do. Whether it's Noises Off, it is hilarious about an acting company putting on a British sex farce. I know. It's the word farce that gets you going, isn't it?
That's what it is.
So that's a favorite. You're also doing, speaking of fun, Around the World in 80 Days. Tell us about this one.
This is a show I saw in London last year, and I was blown away by it. This company that did Heady Feather for us 2 years ago. And it's a new version of Around the World in 80 Days, done with a lot of physical comedy and so on, geared at young people, geared at families. And it really, it takes seriously, it's based on the Jules Verne, it takes seriously the idea that travel, you can really broaden your mind in travel, or you can stay the same. And we're asking people to take the travel journey and have your mind blown apart and expanded and become a little transformed by what you see at the theatre.
Speaking of expanding, you have some new shows, some new works coming right in. Tell us about Lynn Nottage Sweat.
Lynn Nottage, this won the Pulitzer Prize in 2017. She'd spent 2 years in Reading, Pennsylvania, interviewing people who had lost their jobs in the factories and got into the heart of the huge economic displacement that's happening in America right now, where the industrial age is transitioning. And there are all these displaced workers. This is not just America, this is around the world. And there's a tremendous amount of resentment and misunderstanding and feeling that they don't understand the economic forces that are changing our lives. She focuses on 3 women who are best friends, who are all about to lose their jobs, but one is promoted and asked to do the firing. And it's
She's a favorite playwright here on the Suncoast, and then the season will finish out with The Cake, which was written by the people that are behind This Is Us. So it's a very, very exciting season.
You'll get us there.
So don't forget, too, that Oslo Rep is still in the middle of their current season with their production of Row running in Rep with their other shows. So you'll want to go ahead and go to their website to find out all the dates and find out when you can buy subscriptions for next season. OsloRep.org. Exciting season. Also exciting, hidden gems. We'll see some homes on Suncoast for sale.